is great to be here today with Karen MacDonald, a language arts teacher at King Middle School and Maine's 2014 Teacher of the Year. Karen, can you tell us about your teaching background?
Sure. I've taught my whole life in Portland. So I started in 1979, and I actually started as an ed tech, which at the time I was a little disappointed that I didn't receive a teaching job, but I think it was a really nice way to move into the teaching profession. So I started in 1979 as an ed tech at Longfellow, and then I got a job as a gifted and talented teacher. That was a program that was coming into the Portland schools at the time. I did that for 5 years. I've taught 4th grade, I've taught 5th grade, I've taught 6th grade, and this year I'm in 7th grade. So, and that's been all 35 years, all in Portland.
Wow, what a illustrious career. Can you talk about your approach to teaching, some of the tenets that you consider most important?
Sure. I think the number one thing for me is building relationships. And I really feel it's important to build relationships with my students, my parents, the colleagues that I have in the building, the administrators, and anybody who can support community members, anyone who can support the students in my classroom. And one of the things I've done to build that relationship is I visit the homes of my homeroom students when they come to 6th grade. So I loop with my students from 6th to 7th grade, and when they come in at 6th grade, I send a letter home to parents and ask if we could have a meeting at the beginning of that 2-year journey so we can set goals, I can find out a little bit about the family, hear a little bit about the students' experiences at the elementary level, and send the message that we are in this together. And it's been a huge payback for me and a really valuable thing that I feel I've integrated into my teaching in the last few years. So.
And how do you come across that practice? Something that you read or just?
Yeah, I read about it, and I just feel that connection, I feel like I'm in a team situation with parents and students. And the first time I tried it, I wasn't sure how it would go, but I got such great response from parents. I take the boat out to Peaks Island because we have a lot of students from Peaks Island. I'm willing to meet parents here if it's more convenient for them. I will meet them in the library if that works for them, but it is really nice to go to a student's home environment and get to meet the family on their turf. So it's been great.
Fantastic. Now you were at King when the school became Portland's first Expeditionary Learning School. We now have several schools using that learning model. Can you explain what expeditionary learning is and why it is an effective approach to teaching?
Sure. Well, I've been at King for 22 years, and after my first year at King, we started working with the model. And I think there are a lot of reasons for why it's been so successful. I think the model really helps balance that focus on academics with a focus on character and the balance of the whole child. So, you know, the learning in expeditionary learning is very rigorous, and it's active, and it's meaningful, and it's public. But we also focus on how do we build habits of work at the same time. So those are some of the tenets of expeditionary learning. I think one of our major successes at King have been the learning expeditions, which is how you deliver the curriculum in expeditionary learning. And those are long-term projects taken over time where we look at a compelling topic. Right now, our 7th grade students are focusing on the civil rights movement. And they understand that all the work and learning we are doing along the way leads to a specific place. And we show them the map. And so when we are working in my classroom on sensory details, for instance, they know that at the end when they have to write the story about the person they interviewed, they need to include sensory details in their piece. So the learning makes sense to them. And it's important. When you're writing the story of someone who was a Tuskegee Airman or was the president of the NAACP, that's important work, and that allows students to rise to their highest level and do the best work they can.
All right. Now, you have created some amazing learning expeditions for your students, and you just shared with us some about leadership and civil rights. Can you talk about how teaching through your career has become more collaborative over the years, and how do you work with colleagues, and why is that important?
I think I'm really lucky that I'm in a building where teaching is very collaborative, because as I've begun my journey as Maine Teacher of the Year, I still hear a lot of teachers who feel isolated in their jobs. So I think that's important for me to realize that I'm in somewhat of a unique situation here at this school. But I do think that the more we work together, the better we get at our craft. And when I look at our journey at King, at the beginning, it was just about bringing our work into the public eye, and meaning, the public meaning your colleagues, and sharing what we were doing in our classroom. And that was a huge step. But now we're at a place where we can critique each other's work, and we can give meaningful feedback. And that is a much better place for us to be. So we went from, oh, really great idea. That was a really good idea. Oh, I have some people to help you with that. To, have you thought about the assessments here and how you're going to actually assess kids on that target. I think we've come a long way. I think collaboration is critical, and I'm very thankful to have that supported in Expeditionary Learning and supported at King and in the Portland schools.
All right. You said that many of your students are English language learners.
Correct.
And we know that 30% of our population in Portland Public Schools are students who are English language learners. You have an endorsement in ELL teaching.
Right.
How have you adapted your teaching to reach all students, including those who are learning English?
Sure. Well, I think it was really important for me to go and get that endorsement because we have such a high population at King. One of the things I try to do is present material in many different ways for students. So I have visual and auditory presentation. We might do some drama. Also very thoughtful about providing social learning opportunities where students can use language to build their knowledge. So we do a lot of peer share and a lot of group sharing so that the students that are ELL students listen to the language and they build meaning together. But it's just a great way for all students to learn, and that's how many adults learn. We read a book, we talk about the book, you see some things that I didn't see, I see some things that you didn't see, and we share that learning together. So I'm very thoughtful about background knowledge, for instance. I know that a lot of my students don't come in with the kind of background knowledge that I might expect. Even 9/11, for instance, if you've just come to this country, you might not know the significance of that event. So I'm very thoughtful about the background knowledge. I also use my resources in the building well. I have 3 other teachers in the building who are ELL specialists, and I will sometimes ask them for support as I'm planning. And I just think great instruction and really being thoughtful about your instruction helps all the learners as well.
Well, I couldn't agree more. And now we're going to turn to your experience as Maine Teacher of the Year. Okay. Thus far, what experiences and opportunities have you had as Maine Teacher of the Year? Could you share some insight?
Sure. Well, it's actually a 2-year process because a year ago I was in the process of going through the nomination and selection process for the Maine Teacher of the Year. So I've been in this process for 1 year, and now this is my year of service. And in January, all the state teachers of the year went to Arizona, and we met as a group, and we had some training together, which was very valuable because I think all of us have many moments when we are like, why me? And especially when you're surrounded with great colleagues, you feel like, ooh, I don't know if I'm worthy of this. And we were reminded that we're not the best teachers in our state, that we're representing the great teaching in our state. And we were also given some tools to start advocating for teaching, digital tools, ways to talk to your legislators, your community. And so there was a lot of skill building that went on to that conference, and a lot of connections. We made a lot of connections with other state teachers of the year. All of the New England state teachers of the year got together and talked about what we could do in New England to help support each other. April was a busy month for me. I was able to give the keynote at Bates College in their Department of Education, talking about the changes that we've gone through at King Middle School. And it was really exciting for me that they invited a classroom teacher to give the keynote. I presented at the MEA Professional Conference, presenting on teacher leadership and teacher recognition, talking about the Maine Teacher of the Year program. And at the Maine ASCD, I went with a colleague and we presented about proficiency-based grading. So April was a busy month. I have lots of events this summer, including Space Camp, which I will be attending, so I'm very excited about that. And my service as Maine Teacher of the Year goes all the way through to December. So I'm looking forward to making an impact, visiting other schools, blogging about it, tweeting about it, and getting the teacher voice out.
We couldn't be more proud to have you represent Portland Public Schools
Thank
and
you.
all the great teaching in our state, in the state of Maine.
Yes.
And I want to ask you about the National Board Certification.
Sure.
You know, because of your ELL endorsement, language arts background, and the National Board Certification. What inspired you or led you to reach for the National Board Certification?
Well, I think I tried to be a reflective learner and get great feedback about my work. And the National Board Certification is sort of the highest standard for teachers in the country. So I was challenging myself really to see if I could complete that process successfully. I also had a group of other teachers in the building that participated, and again, that sort of collegial activity was very important for all of us. It was very powerful for me that you did a ton of videotaping in your classroom of your teaching, and you had to spend a lot of time at home watching the videotapes of yourself teaching, and it was extremely enlightening and so valuable for my instruction. So I think I took it as a challenge, but at the end, I realized what a valuable professional development activity it was, and I really encourage teachers to look at the process and consider it because it's amazing professional development.
All right. And I have another question for you.
Sure.
Portland Public Schools, as you know, is set as a goal to be the best small urban school district in the country by 2017. In your opinion, how can we best ensure that all students graduate prepared for college, careers, and citizenship?
Well, I think there are certainly people that are onto that idea of reading by third grade is extremely important. And as a 7th grade language arts teacher, I can see when students are struggling with reading that it's a challenge for them, and it makes absorbing all of the content at this grade level difficult. I think that building relationships with our students, I think every student in the Portland Public Schools should have an adult that they can turn to in their building and that can advocate for them and that knows them and that knows their family and that knows the struggles they are going through, but can also, because they have that relationship, can really push them forward. A couple of dreams of mine, if I'm allowed to dream. I would like to see us play more with the extended learning opportunities for students in Portland in terms of opportunities before and after school that might be offered by the community. And I also think that we have to look at summer because a lot of the students in 7th grade don't have great opportunities in the summer and can't afford expensive camps, and that's a lot of downtime that we could be using. So that's sort of a dream of mine.
All right. So what do you hope to accomplish as Maine's Teacher of the Year?
Well, a big platform for me is teacher leadership. And so I am hoping to promote teacher leadership through my role as Maine's 2014 Maine Teacher of the Year. And I'm hoping to actually do something about it. I'm hoping to work with Educate Maine to provide a teacher leader training once a year for people who have participated in the Maine Teacher of the Year program and other teacher leaders across the state. And my personal goal is that we would give those teacher leaders the training and some of the skills that they will need to go back to their building and move initiatives forward. Things like setting goals with groups of people, organizing, advocating for what you want, having difficult conversations. So that is my focus area for this year as Maine's Teacher of the Year. I'm also trying to highlight the teacher leaders that we have in Maine. I've already been up to Reiki, and I interviewed the teacher leaders there. And so through my blog, I'm trying to focus on the great work teachers are doing in the state and the great leadership they're showing in the state of Maine. So that's my platform for this year.
Well, I tell you, it's a great platform, and for those in our viewing public, you can follow Karen MacDonald. There's a link to her blog on our webpage. And it also reminds me of my Caulkism that leaders teach, teachers lead. And we have great teacher leadership in Karen MacDonald and the wonderful teachers here in Portland Public Schools. So I thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much.